Let's talk to Jotam Confino, a Middle East correspondent and author. He's in just north of Tel Aviv for us right now on Talk. Jotam, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Thanks very much for joining us. Gaza very much in the news over the last week or so with, complaints from the United Nations about Israel blockading aid going in. Israel saying that the UN are the ones doing the blockading. It seems as though there is some aid now getting into Gaza. We've also had it confirmed that Mohammed Sinwar has now been eliminated, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. How would you characterise the way things are at the moment in terms of the sort of context of the conflict since October 23?
Look, I think we're in a dire situation, really, because Israel and Hamas continue to refuse to compromise to reach a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Now, today we just had, I wouldn't call it a breakthrough, really, but the Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy, has just said that there's a new proposal on the table, a 60-day ceasefire, the release of 9 hostages and 9 dead hostages as well, and that would of course lead to more negotiations to reach a permanent ceasefire. Now, whether Israel is ready for this or not, it's hard to say, really, because Israel doesn't want a complete ceasefire. It doesn't want to allow Hamas to be in Gaza after the ceasefire. But Hamas, after having let's assume that Mohammed Sinwar has been killed. We don't know, actually. Just because Netanyahu says so doesn't mean that he's actually been killed, because the IDF and Hamas have not confirmed it. But let's assume that he's been killed. I would say that that's a big removal of an obstacle to reaching a ceasefire, because Sinwar was not ready to agree to anything, really, when it comes to compromises.
No. And I mean, that has always been the problem, hasn't it? Ever since the dawn of that awful morning on October the 7th in 2023, that there has been no compromise. And from Israel's point of view, they say they don't see why they should have one as long as the hostages are there. I mean, one question I would have, I mean, there are believed to be, a couple of dozen dead hostages. Where are those dead hostages being held, or where are they being kept? Are they? I mean, it's a strange question, I know, but just on a kind of a practical point, where are they?
It's a good question. A lot of people are thinking the exact same thing as you are. Where are they? We don't really know. I believe that some of them have been buried because they know that it's going to take a long time before there'll be a deal and before they have to release the bodies. But it's just macabre in every possible way. We have 20 hostages who are believed to be alive. That's been downgraded from 24 just a couple of months ago. So 20 hostages are believed to be held in dungeons underneath the ground in Gaza. And we know from some of the hostages who've been released in the latest ceasefire that some of them are badly injured, they are being tortured, they're starved, and they haven't seen daylight in a long, long time. So I would say, and it's really sad to say this, but the most dire humanitarian situation in Gaza right now is the situation that revolves around the hostages, because they don't receive an iota of the humanitarian aid that enters Gaza. And they're also in danger of being killed by the Israeli military, or by Hamas for that matter.
Right. Exactly right. And what of the aid packages going in now? I mean, I watched some footage last night of what looked like a warehouse being sort of taken over, if you like, by ordinary civilians from Gaza, and it looks as though Hamas were coming in and trying to remove them from the facility to say that they wanted to control the release of whatever the goods and whatever the food stuffs were. What's been happening there?
Look, Hamas is desperate now. They are calling on Palestinians in Gaza not to receive any of the aid that comes in, because it's controlled by Israel and the United States. So they would rather have their population starve.
Yeah.
And for those who attempt to loot, they're being executed by Hamas. Hamas has executed several Palestinians. We don't hear about it because the world don't care when Palestinians kill Palestinians. But that's the fact. And yes, there was a warehouse that was looted. I'm not sure who it belonged to, if it was the UN or some say it was Hamas. I'm waiting for some more details on this. What we do know is that yesterday Hamas attempted to portray themselves as the new NGO that's currently distributing aid in Gaza. They sent out messages supposedly on behalf of this NGO saying that they had to halt all of the distribution because there was chaos. 47 people were wounded by gunshot. And then the organization came out a few hours later and said, we didn't send this message. But by then, the story had already been spread to the entire world. Everyone was talking about it.
Right.
It's just really dangerous, the amount of misinformation that comes out and how fast the media take it as truth and just runs with it.
And that is a real problem, isn't it? Because, I mean, there's a story in one of the magazines here this week about how Israel lost Europe, effectively. And I don't think it's true to say that Israel has lost Europe, but it's been surprising, has it not? Not least with the statement that came out from Keir Starmer and France and Canada last week, which was praised by Hamas, asking Israel to stop their invasion of Gaza. There is a sense that some political leaders in the West have not been as supportive of Israel as they should have been.
Absolutely. Look, you can rightfully criticize Israel for many, many things. Have there been committed war crimes in Gaza? Most likely. Is blocking aid unethical? Absolutely. But in the bigger scheme of things, there's one actor in all of this that's solely responsible for the situation we're seeing, and whose crimes are on a level that you cannot even compare to what Israel is doing.
Yeah.
And yet 90% of the focus from NGOs, from countries around the world, from politicians, it's on Israel. Very few NGOs and politicians try to put pressure on Qatar, which is the main funder of Hamas. Qatar that has leverage over Hamas. It's Israel that has to stop, Israel that has to withdraw, that has to compromise, and Hamas is expected to just do whatever they want, really.
Right. Yeah, it's quite shocking how that's all happened. Jotam, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Jotam Confino, Middle East correspondent and author, just north of Tel Aviv for us there this morning with the latest from Gaza.